Hello everyone and welcome back to more Umineko When They Cry. In the last video, the cousins all had a lovely day at the beach with Shannon, and it started to get all horrible and started raining, so we've decided to head back to the mansion and everybody's pretty excited to watch TV for some reason, but I guess we'll just go with it. Maria, who wasn't done having fun, agreed once television was mentioned. We climbed up the gentle stairs and returned to the rose garden. The wind had grown very strong, and roses shook throughout the garden like ripples on the water. This might be our last chance to see these beautiful roses. I'll bet tonight's typhoon ruins them. For someone who put so much effort into the garden, you'd think that they would at least attempt to, cover it up or something so that it doesn't all get destroyed.
ラッキーだったと思うぜ。台風の前にバトラたちを歓迎できたんだからよ。
花はいつか必ず散る。でも、だからこそ咲き誇る今をめでることができるんじゃないかな。
そうだな。マリアもよく目に焼き付けとけ。今この瞬間が今年で一番のバラなんだぜ。
Right then, Maria suddenly clapped her hands. It looked like she'd remembered something. Oh, she's probably thinking about the rose that was wilting earlier.
Ah, ジョージの兄貴に目印のリボンをつけてもらった。あの元気のないバラか?
Maria apparently remembered where the rose was. She ran at full speed. The rest of us followed her. We searched everywhere around that area, but it was only a single flower among all these roses after all. Even though we knew it was somewhere close by, we weren't able to find it. I thought that was the whole point of him marking it with a ribbon, so they wouldn't have this problem. The winds making up the typhoon's front lines made roses throughout the garden undulate. It was almost like it was teasing us by making the location of Maria's rose impossible to find.
ここじゃなかったかな。少し手分けをして探してみようか。
そうだな。人海戦術で行こうぜ。ん？なんだよ、マリア。
As we made to split up and search, Maria tugged on my jacket with an unhappy face. You could tell that she didn't want us to leave that spot.
なんだよ、どうした？マ
リアのバラはここなの。ここにあるの。でも現にないぜ。この花壇の裏側だったかもな。みんなで探せば早いぜ。ここなの。マリアのバラはここなの。探して探して。
Maria stomped her feet in irritation. She pointed at that spot and said it was definitely there, but in actuality it wasn't. Even so, Maria got mad when we said we were going to search elsewhere. We were at a loss for what to do. For a while, we had to stay near Maria and pretend to search through that rose thicket. Well, she's really upset about this rose. Maybe she's saying that it should be here but isn't. Maria became increasingly irritated.
参ったな。マリアがすっかり機嫌を損ねちまったぞ。
Yeah, I like Maria, but I don't think that I would be able to handle this situation as well as these guys. I think I'd be losing my rag right now.
マリアはたまにすごくどうでもいいことを気にし始めちゃうんだよ。それがどうにかなるときはいいんだけど。
ないものは探せないしね。困ったな。
Just when we were at a loss of what to do, Maria called out in a loud voice. We could see Aunt Rosa in the direction Maria was waving her hand. Maybe she wanted to look at the garden one more time before the typhoon came. Or maybe she had some business at the guest house. Aunt Rosa was coming from the mansion. She quickly noticed her daughter's voice and came over.
あらあら、どうしたのみんな。何か探し物なの？探して。ママもマリアのバラを探して。
Somehow I don't think that Rosa's gonna put up with this like everybody else will.
マリアのバラって？
この辺に元気のないバラを一つ見つけて、それに目印をつけたんです。
飴玉かなんかの包み紙でキュッと。しかしマリア、確か俺の記憶が正しけりゃすぐ手前の目立つところに生えてたはずだぜ。足が生えてどこかに行っちまったんじゃなきゃ他の場所だったと思うぜ。
Or someone cut it off because it was unsightly compared to the rest of them. I suspect Goda. I think he's been out here trimming the hedges.
マリアの記憶違いじゃないのか？
ここなの。パトラが信じてくれない。その言うのをやめなさいって何度言ったらわかるの？ママも探してあげるから静かにしなさい。
Oh gosh, she's really losing her temper. I'd never seen Aunt Rosa be anything other than kind and gentle, so her anger surprised me a bit. Aunt Rosa began searching as well, so we went along with her for the time being. But we were already more than sure that it wasn't around here. So it didn't take long for Aunt Rosa to realise that too.
ここにはそのバラはないわよ。他の場所の間違いじゃない。これだけたくさんのバラがあるんだから。違うの。ここにあるの。ママも信じてくれない。ちゃんと信じて探してるでしょ。でもないじゃない。でもここなの。ここにあるのにないの。じゃあ誰かが抜いちゃったんでしょ。とにかくその言うのをやめなさい。
Maria's so ignorant. She's like, no, I refuse. I will say my catchphrase. It's like she's doing it more just to irritate her. Aunt Rosa slapped Maria's left cheek with her palm. In that instant, Maria was shocked into silence. Of course, it was only for an instant. When Maria realised that her wish was being rejected, she started yelling even louder. Wow, they're really causing a scene right now in front of everybody in the family. Once again, her palm slapped Maria's cheek. I mean, I suppose that she's probably learned violence from her father, because obviously he used to use violence towards his kids, but it's not right. It's not right, guys. This time, she didn't go silent. She choked as she started crying and began to bawl in an increasingly loud voice. Aunt Rosa was clearly irritated and lifted her hand once more to try and shut her daughter up.
ローザおばさん、まあまあ、その小さい子供のことですし、そんなマジになんなくても。
I can only imagine how awkward this situation must be to everybody else. I tried to cut in with a bitter smile, rubbing my hands together. But Aunt Rosa glared at me with a serious face, and I realised that I should stay out of this.
ごめんね。バトラ君たちはちょっとお部屋に戻っててくれる？おばさんはマリアとちょっと話があるの。誰もマリアのバラを信じてくれない。ここにあったのに。探してここなの、ここにあったの。でもないじゃない。なら他の場所の勘違いでしょ。
Oh god, I bet George is really regretting putting that candy wrapper on that rose now. He should have just left it.
じゃあなくなっちゃったのよ。諦めなさい。どうしてマリアのバラがなくなっちゃうの？どうして知らないわよ、そんなの。だからその言うのをやめなさい。
Aunt Rosa once again raised her hand, overcome by emotion, and slapped Maria's cheek. It was strong enough to knock Maria over. Battler, I don't think you're helping. I stepped between them to protect Maria, who was still on the ground crying ooh ooh. I knew that, as an outsider, problems between parent and child were none of my business. But I wasn't brought up to just silently observe something like this.
バトラ君は変に思わないの？あなたの学校にうなってる女の子なんている？
But she's a child. Children always say stupid stuff. She'll probably grow out of it.
いや、まあさすがに高校には。でも小学生ならそういう言うのも可愛いじゃないですか。
可愛い？言うのが可愛い？可愛いって？
My careless words seemed to have earned me Aunt Rosa's wrath. She grabbed my collar with a terrifying expression.
バカ言ってんじゃないわよ。
And now she's going to assault another person's child.
マリアがいくつか知ってる？9歳よ。小学4年生なのよ。幼稚園児じゃないのよ。それなのにまだクラスで言ってるのよ。わかる？この子クラスでなんて言っていじめられてるか知ってるの？この変な口癖のせいで未だに友達の一人もいないのよ。無責任にマリアのこと可愛いとか言って現実から目をそらさないで。この子の将来のことをもっともっと真剣に考えて。
I think she's taking this way too seriously.
だからその言うのやめろって言ってんでしょ。
Aunt Rosa struck Maria's quivering head, from which an increasingly unhappy voice was rising. I tried to stop it, but Aunt Rosa pushed me away. My back hit Georgianiki.
昔はローザおばさんもマリアちゃんの幼児言葉の一つだくらいにしか思わなかったんだけど、小学校の中学年になっても治らないのを最近はだいぶ気にしてて。
That doesn't give her the right to beat the crap out of her in front of everybody. Like, I don't think that's any way to treat a child.
別にどういう言葉遣いをしようと関係ねえだろ。
Yeah, this is a really, really intense scene right here. I'm not sure how I feel about this.
そのまま社会人にはなれないよ。だから見ていて気持ちのいい光景ではないけれど、これはおばさんたち親子の問題なんだよ。
But there are probably better ways to stop her from making that sound. Probably beating her isn't the best thing she could be doing.
まあ私もこの言葉遣いのせいでよくおふくろに怒られるけどよ。
When they put it that way, maybe even a scene as painful as this isn't something an outsider like me should butt in on.
バトラ君だって小さい頃悪い癖が治らなくて怒られたことがあったんじゃないかい？
まあ一つや二つは。授業参観の日に人前でずっと怒られてた時は恥ずかしくてたまらなかったぜ。
じゃあ今のマリアちゃんたちの気持ちはわかるよね。僕たちにここにいてほしいとは思わないんじゃないかな。ジェシカちゃんにもわかるよね。
I mean, technically Aunt Rosa did already ask them to leave and they've completely ignored her up to this point.
怒られてるところを誰かに見られてえとは思わないぜ。
行こう。ゲストハウスへ戻ろう。そしてマリアちゃんが戻ってきたら何事もなかったかのように迎えてあげようよ。それが一番じゃないかい。
We thought Georgianiki's point was probably a reasonable one, and we may have been eager to use that reasonable sounding argument as a justification to retreat from this heart-rending scene. Jessica and I nodded at Georgianiki and we all left. We called towards Maria, telling her that we were going to head to the guest house, but she didn't seem to hear and we felt sort of guilty and shameless after saying it.
それなら好きなだけ一人で探しなさい。ママは知りません。探す。マリアが一人で探す。ママが知らなくても探す。
What if she stays out here all night and gets really super sick? I wonder how Rosa would feel about that.
勝手にしなさい。
After blasting her with those last few words, Rosa spun on her heels and quickly returned to the mansion. Maria probably viewed that as a cold gesture meant to injure, but that wasn't Rosa's intention. It was because the hand with which she had also emotionally struck Maria's cheek was still numb. It was because if she stayed there screaming, she might again be taken over by her emotions and continue slapping her daughter's cheek over and over. After Rosa left, Maria was left alone in the rose garden. The wind began to blow stronger and stronger, and every once in a while a raindrop would fall on her forehead. However, Maria couldn't leave that place. Not until she found that poor wilting rose. It had definitely been there. Even so, it wasn't. Even though she knew the place and even though it had been there, it wasn't. Maria bitterly stared at the place it was supposed to be and thought frantically. Maybe the angle I'm looking from is wrong. Maybe the height I'm looking from is wrong. While gazing at a single point, Maria repeatedly stood up, changed her position and continued to stare. The wind was getting stronger and stronger, but Maria kept on looking for that rose in front of the flower bed. Okay guys, well I think this is a good time to end the video. I'm sorry it's a bit short, but I just want to end it before we get into anything else super intense. That scene made me quite uncomfortable. I don't think that it's right to sit there and just like beat your child in front of everybody else in the family. It's embarrassing for everyone and it just makes you look like a terrible parent, but whatever. If you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more. And until next time guys, Goodbye.